In a house in rural Germany, Bibi is enjoying her birthday party with her family and friends when suddenly she receives a visit from Carla, the local journalist. The woman reveals that she has brought a letter from the mayor, thanking the girl for her actions during a fire that occurred a few days ago, where she was able to save the lives of 2 sisters. As a reward, Bibi receives a kind of crystal wand, and soon after, she notices that someone seems to have left a personalized letter on the garden table. Upon reading the message, the young woman discovers that she will receive a crystal ball the next day, and extremely excited, she shows the letter to her parents. Realizing her daughter's achievement, Barbara feels happy, and noticing that her husband is confused, she explains that this type of gift is only given when a young woman turns 15. Excited, Bibi runs to her mother's magic room with her friends Floriano and Marita, explaining that only those who have their own crystal ball can consider themselves true sorcerers. As the young people watch in fascination, the girl explains that the magical item is extremely powerful, capable of showing both the past and the future. Later, the girl goes to her parents in the kitchen and asks if she can go to Blocky Mountain the next day to receive her crystal ball. However, her stepfather Bernardo says that it hasn't been decided yet, and upon hearing this, the young girl looks at her mother, who signals that she will try to convince him. So Bibi leaves, and Barbara tries to understand why her husband is acting this way. The man then explains that one sorceress in the family is more than enough, and says that even though the girl already has a natural talent, they shouldn't hold the ceremony. Upon hearing this, Barbara is disappointed, and the man apologizes and reveals that he is under pressure at work, which is why he is so stressed. To end the discussion, the woman explains that the delivery of the crystal ball will be quick and discreet, and assures Bibi that she will not cause any problems. In her room, the girl tries to choose the spell she will demonstrate to the witches at the ceremony, but she can't make up her mind and gives up reading the magic book. The next day, Bibi receives a visit from her friend Floriano, who will spend a few days at her house, and after dropping off his son, Tom leaves for the airport for a business trip as a musician. At the same time, Bernardo gets into his car to drive to his office, but at that moment, the boy notices that his father has forgotten his instrument. Quickly, the pair walk over to Barbara, who says that if Tom doesn't come back to get the instrument, they can send it to him somehow. Soon after, Carla shows up, and with everything ready, Bibi says goodbye to the pair, saying that they need to leave immediately because she is afraid of being late. So Barbara and her daughter get on their magic brooms and head towards Blocky Mountain. After a few minutes of travel, the duo finally arrives at the location, finding dozens of wizards everywhere. At that moment, Bibi meets her friends Zubia and Arcadia, who ask when she will enroll in the boarding school for sorceress apprentices. However, the young girl replies that she prefers to continue living with her parents, and eager for the ceremony, the girls head towards the cave. Suddenly, Rabia appears and begins to stare at Bibi, who is frightened and hides behind one of her friends. After intimidating the newcomer, the woman leaves, and so that they can explain why that witch is so hated, Zubia and Arcadia take Bibi to the bathroom. The pair explain that a few years ago, there was a break-in at that hideout, and after checking the safe where all the magical artifacts were kept, the witches noticed that the rejuvenation potion had been stolen. The only clue to the theft was a type of perfume, which is only used by Rabia, and this made the woman the prime suspect ever since. After that, the young women return to the ceremony site, and upon discovering that Bibi is Barbara's daughter, Rabia becomes angry, stating that they should not present an impure witch like her with a crystal ball. However, the woman is not intimidated by this and says that regardless of her opinion, Rabia is not the leader of the council. At that moment, Valpurgia, the president of the Witches' Council, appears and states that it is time for Bibi to be recognized for her great heroic act during the fire. After presenting the crystal ball that the apprentice is about to receive, the woman explains that she needs to demonstrate some spell as proof of her knowledge, and the young woman decides that she will perform the magic of the talking Chinese cat. So, Bibi consults her little notebook, and soon after, she conjures a cat with a small portal. With the animal in front of her, the girl makes it walk on 2 legs, but as soon as she tries to make it talk, she fails and is confused because her spell is not working. Seizing her chance, Rabia fakes a sneeze to conjure a mouse in the middle of the ceremony, causing the cat to start chasing the rodent, leaving Bibi embarrassed. However, Valpurgia is not disappointed by this and explains that this failure may have been due to the girl's nervousness, so the young woman will still be approved. This decision leaves Rabia angry, but there is nothing else she can do, and being forced to follow the leader's orders, the woman stands with the other witches, who begin a kind of ritual. Soon after, the crystal ball is passed among them as they take an oath in honor of the girl, but when her turn comes, Rabia deliberately drops the object, leaving everyone frightened. Tired of her behavior, Valpurgia orders the woman to give her crystal ball to Bibi. Otherwise she will be imprisoned in the swamp for 5 years to pay for her evil deeds. With no choice, Rabia hands the object to the girl and leaves furiously, while all the other witches applaud the end of the ceremony. Later at home, Bibi notices that something strange is happening with her new crystal ball, and trying to help her, Barbara observes the object, which seems to be showing a random event from the future. At the same time, Rabia talks to her cat in her room and notices that her pains and physical limitations are already resurfacing. So, the witch has an idea and decides to transform herself into a squirrel to try to disguise herself and infiltrate Bibi's residence so she can recover her crystal ball. Back at her house, the girl brushes her teeth with her friend Floriano, and when they remember that Tom's musical is about to start, they leave to watch it. Bibi quickly uses her crystal ball to try to watch the performance, but at that moment they discover that the venue is closed and that Tom has actually gone to meet his girlfriend in London. Upon discovering that his father has lied once again, Floriano becomes sad, saying that he never imagined he would do such a thing. The boy then decides to go to his room to sleep, but before he does, he receives an email from Tom, who pretends to have finished his musical performance. This lie leaves Floriano even more confused, and the next day, he has breakfast with Bibi and her family. After Bernardo heads to the office, Rabia appears at the scene transformed into a squirrel and approaches the group, who welcome her calmly, believing her to be just an ordinary animal. Soon after, Floriano goes upstairs to get ready for school, and before the witch can steal the crystal ball, the boy decides to put it in his backpack and leaves for class with his friend, forcing the woman to follow them in disguise. When they arrive at school, Bibi meets her friends and starts talking to them, while the boy hides in one of the classrooms to try to use the magical artifact, as he wants to see his father again. However, since he is not a wizard, Floriano is unable to do anything, and before she can reach him, Rabia realizes that there are still students nearby. The woman then decides to disguise herself as a janitor and tries not to arouse suspicion from the people who pass by her. In the classroom, one of the boys starts teasing Bibi, who decides to use a spell to embarrass him, but the student ends up dodging it, causing the magic to hit the teacher. As a result, the woman's hair is all messed up, and she scolds the girl for doing that. Soon after, the teacher goes downstairs with her students, and when she notices the large group of people approaching, Rabia pretends to be cleaning the floor again. At that moment, Floriano tries to escape from the room he was in, but as he runs out, he slips on the puddle of water that Rabia poured on the floor. This causes the crystal ball to be thrown out of the boy's backpack, and before the sorceress can grab the object, Bibi manages to retrieve it. Trying not to arouse suspicion, Rabia runs away, and when she realizes that her friend tried to steal her magical artifact, the girl leaves disappointed. Devastated by what he has done, Floriano tries to apologize, but Bibi does not want to hear a word from the boy and orders him never to set foot in her house again. In her hideout, Rabia tries to find a way to recover her crystal ball and realizes that if she can make Bibi disappoint everyone she loves, she may decide to renounce her position as a sorceress. So, the woman begins to prepare a plan to destroy the girl's life, and the next day, Barbara talks to her daughter, who is devastated after the fight she had with her friend. Trying to cheer her up, Barbara explains that Bibi can try to apologize to him, and with no other option, the young woman heads to Floriano's house. Upon receiving her visit, the boy says he no longer wants to be friends with Bibi and asks her to leave because he needs to study for his exams. Devastated, the girl asks if the young man wants to use his crystal ball so they can watch Tom, but he replies that this will no longer be necessary and explains that his father will contact him at some point. Realizing that she will not be able to convince him, Bibi leaves, and in her room, Rabia celebrates that her plan is beginning to work, but her talking cat tells her that it is not yet time to say that, as everything could still go wrong. Outraged, the sorceress throws the animal away, and soon after, she goes to Bernardo's office, disguising herself as a squirrel so she can sneak into the room. As soon as he finally finishes the report, the man is relieved and leaves to meet his family. With the room empty, Rabia uses her spells to scramble Bernardo's entire report, and after replacing the printed version with the modified one, she celebrates another stage of the plan completed. The next morning, the man says goodbye to his family to go to work, but as soon as he begins his presentation at an extremely important meeting, he is confused to notice that his report is completely messed up. Desperate, Bernardo tries to fix the files, but without success, and during the confusion, Rabia appears disguised as an assistant, saying that the calculations were wrong and that about $3 million has disappeared from the company's financial account. This only makes the man even more terrified, and he tries to explain that those are not his calculations. At school, Bibi talks to her friends after a difficult test when she sees Floriano waiting for her outside. Excited, she runs to talk to the boy, who says he needs help because he believes his father has been lying about his mother all this time. So, the pair get together to try to find Floriano's mother through the crystal ball, and after a few minutes of searching, they manage to see the woman at a presentation. Outraged, the boy realizes that Tom never told him the truth and asks Bibi to try to observe him through the magical artifact. However, as soon as she recites her spell, the girl directs the magic towards her father, and when she sees him with that sad expression, she is confused about what is happening. In the meeting room, Bernardo vents to his boss, saying that someone seems to be sabotaging his career. However, the man explains that this may be related to the fact that his family are witches, and orders him to resolve the issue in 2 days. While watching the news, Barbara comes across Carla in a report about the scandal happening at her husband's company, who arrives home shortly after. At dusk, the family talks about the incident, and when asked if he was really responsible for the disappearance of the $3 million, the man becomes enraged and goes to the living room. Trying to calm him down, Barbara says they can resolve this, and Bibi says that a simple spell would make everyone forget about it, but this only makes Bernardo even more irritated. The man then shows her the article that appeared in the day's newspaper, and when she sees a photo of herself flying alongside her daughter, the woman is outraged. After that, Bernardo explains that he will lose his job if his family continues with witchcraft, and realizing that her actions could cause even bigger problems for their lives, Barbara decides to call Valpurgia. Upon receiving the warning from her friend, the president of the Witches' Council is devastated and asks Zubia and Arcadia to call everyone, as a renunciation ceremony will be held soon. Hours later, Bernardo arrives home and is moved to hear that his wife and daughter have decided to renounce their witchcraft for the sake of the family. At the window, Rabia watches the conversation in her squirrel form and leaves dancing with joy, as she has finally gotten what she wanted. In the morning, Rabia is already annoyed again, this time with Zubia and Arcadia's jokes, and decides to lock them in the dressing room. Soon after, Bibi talks to her friends about the strange messages she has seen in her crystal ball, and upon hearing this, the two girls understand that the magical artifact was trying to tell her something. Upon analyzing the messages, Zubia and Arcadia discover that Rabia was the real culprit behind everything that happened, and they run to alert the witches, but at that moment they notice that the door is locked. Unfortunately, none of the young women have enough power to unlock the door, and before they can warn everyone, Valpurgia begins Barbara's renunciation, who throws her flying broom and spell book into the fire. At that moment, Bibi concentrates on destroying the door at a molecular level, opening the passage and allowing the trio to escape from the locker room. At the same time, Valpurgia explains that in order to complete the renunciation, Barbara must say goodbye to her crystal ball, which will be melted in the lava. Outraged, Rabia tries to prevent this from happening, but is silenced by the leader, who orders her to remain quiet. The woman then melts the magical artifact in the lava cauldron, and soon after, Barbara is sent back to the human world, losing her powers as a sorceress. Upon arriving at the location, Bibi is greeted by Valpurgia, who says that now it is her turn to resign, but the young woman says she cannot do so and leaves the place with her broom. Later, the leader meets with the apprentices in their dormitory and orders them to stop making all those accusations against Rabia, since they have no proof. After that, the woman leaves, and realizing that she will have to deal with this situation alone, Bibi runs away with her broom and asks Floriano for help in hiding her crystal ball. Meanwhile, Barbara and Bernardo are surprised by their daughter's delay in returning home and decide to go out looking for her, but end up getting stuck on the way. At the same time, Rabia, who was looking for Bibi to recover her crystal ball, finds the couple lost on the road and pretends to be a farmer to approach them, managing to convince them to follow her to her castle. At Floriano's house, the young woman uses her crystal ball to find out where her parents are, and upon discovering that the pair has been captured by Rabia, she sends an alert to Zubia and Arcadia, asking for help. Soon after, she follows her friend to the location using her broom, and upon infiltrating the castle, the young people walk to the sorcery room, where they find Barbara and Bernardo trapped in a cage. Realizing that her parents are unconscious and that Rabia seems to be sleeping in her armchair, Bibi tries to free them, but is surprised by the woman, who tries to hold her back. The young people quickly run through the fortress while being chased by the sorceress, and when she corners her targets, Rabia opens the hatch right under their feet. Thanks to this, the pair end up falling into one of the rooms, and in a rage, they begin to throw the hanging shoes at her, managing to hit her head and knocking their enemy unconscious. Seizing their chance, the young people free the couple from the cage, and Bibi orders them to flee alone down the stairs, as she needs to get her broom. So, the couple heads for the exit, but suddenly, the pair is surprised by Rabia, and they flee in desperation. Before he can escape, Floriano is grabbed by the woman, and determined not to leave her friend behind, Bibi orders her to release the boy, as there is nothing else she can do. At that moment, the couple appears to surround Rabia, along with Zubia and Arcadia, who arrive accompanied by several witches. Realizing that she has no way out of the ambush, the witch decides to jump from the tower into the well, where she ends up trapped due to the water level. Now that they are reunited, Bibi hugs her parents, and as a form of revenge, she conjures a fountain to lift Rabia several meters into the air. Hours later, the sorceresses gather to judge the evil witch, who is accused of several crimes and receives the punishment of spending 5 years in a monstrous swamp. Soon after, Valpurgia asks Bibi to hand over her crystal ball that once belonged to Rabia, and melts the artifact in lava. Finally, the leader presents mother and daughter with their new crystal balls, which belonged to great witches in the past. Excited, the young people throw Rabia's shoes into the lava, and while they have fun, Valpurgia tells Barbara that she has prepared some extra spells for her friend. Back home, Bernardo receives a call from his boss and is extremely excited to find out that his report has been recovered from his computer, leaving the executives so impressed that they have decided to rehire him. Days later, the family has lunch with Tom and his wife, who has returned home after so many years away from her son. At that moment, the musician couple reveals that they will be touring in another country, and for that reason, Floriano will have to move with them. Upon hearing this, Bibi becomes sad and leaves the table, followed by her friend, who promises he will return to visit her during the end-of-year holidays. In addition, Floriano reveals that for some reason, he is now able to perform spells as well, and to prove it, the boy conjures up a shower of popcorn above everyone. Excited, Bibi says they need to celebrate this, and climbs onto her broom, setting off on another trip around the city, feeling happy that everything is finally okay. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.